I thank you very much for tuning in to That Will Never Work podcast. So, what if your biggest failure wasn't meant to break you, but to build your next level? Today, Devan Gonzalez joins me to share how failure can be the spark for your greatest transformation. We'll talk about it right after this.
Educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work, an award-winning podcast where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here's your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
I thank y'all very much for tuning in today. So I can give you all of Devan's background. You know, his story really fits with That Will Never Work because his parents didn't believe him in starting his companies and things like that. But we'll get to that in a moment. But Devan, we often hear fail forward tossed around, that term, like it's a motivational slogan or something along those lines. But for you, you lived it. It's a reality, right? And so what was the moment that turned failure from a setback into a stepping stone into your leadership journey?
I mean, for me, I think that the failing forward, like the whole thought process for me, it really stemmed from not knowing what you don't know, right? Mm-hmm. And hitting walls, and where a lot of people essentially would start crumbling or be like, oh man, this doesn't work for me. You know, I can't move forward. It's like, well, my big thing is extract the lesson, right? And that's what failing forward is, right? And I only use like that phrase, that failing, because people use, you know, I failed, I didn't succeed. But at the end of the day, it's really, you just learned a lesson, right? Now you are a little bit better than you did the last time you tried it. And for me, especially in like leadership, I was a solopreneur before I was a business owner. And know, you know, and for me, there is a differentiating factor in that of having a team, not having a team. And when you wear all the hats, you have no one to blame but yourself.
Right.
But then all of a sudden you get a team, and now you think that now you have a team, you can shift the blame. But guess what? If the team doesn't succeed, it's still on you. Right. So there is still no one to blame but yourself. If they don't succeed, it's because you didn't teach them right. You didn't give them the tools and so forth. But that was the big learning curve for me, was learning to lead better and analyze and take a lesson from each day. Whether it was a failure or not, there's a lesson in every day, and you can extract that if you just think about the past conversations, think about, you know, what interactions you had throughout the day. I guarantee you'll learn one thing that you can use for tomorrow.
So there's something that you mentioned, right? You know, you talk about being that leader and managing your partners, your employees, even people that you might outsource to, whatever it might be, and in managing them, and they may not have lived up to your mission, your vision, you know, the desired outcome or whatever it is. But sometimes we're not clear on that ourselves, right? And so how important is that because you touched on it real quick, how important is it for us to take accountability in a situation like that, especially if we didn't know about it beforehand?
I mean, I think accountability is everything. Like I accept mistakes from my team, from my franchisees. Like, mistakes are going to happen, but I don't accept excuses, right? So that's the big thing, is like, if you take accountability for the mistake, then that means you're acknowledging that you had an accountability factor in that mistake, and now we can move forward with it, right? It's like, look, sometimes I'll even pressure my team into making the mistake, like knowing they're probably not going to make the best decision, that I could probably just give them the answer, but they don't grow from that. Right. So it's like, sometimes, you know, one of the managers will call me and, hey, we have this situation going on, and I'm a little bit, I'm really busy right now. You know, handle it, call me afterwards, even though I'm not busy. And then I'll call them back in an hour. So what happened? What was the, solution? Perfect. And sometimes it's honestly even better than I would have done, I'm like, damn, good job.
Right. But see, now, there's a few parts that I would like to pull that apart a little bit. So in that, the fact that you followed up, some people might look at that as micromanaging because they feel as though they might not have space, right? Some people want to be coddled in those excuses, right? You know, but then also there's another part of that at the very end that you said, which was being open-minded and give your employee the space to be creative, to find the answer to them, you know, for themselves. And like you said, it might have been a little bit better than what you might have even imagined. So what allowed you to be in that space, to allow yourself to grow in that opportunity just like they grew as well?
Making the mistakes, right? And like you learn, like people think that the business owner has everything figured out, and you don't. I mean, I have a franchise, you know, system. I have franchise under me. They have employees under them, and it's like they look to me. And at the same time, yes, I know more than they know for the most part in terms of our business. But at the same time, I'm still figuring out the unknowns that are down the road, right? And so acknowledging that, and sometimes I have to go to the team and look, I know I thought this was the answer. We just lost a bunch of money. My fault. We got to shift gears, you know? But micromanaging for me is like, there's a fine line, because if someone calls you and one of your team, one of your staff, and you tell them, handle it, I'll give you a call later, and you don't call them, then at the same time, it gives that feeling like you don't really care. Right. So if I tell you I'm going to call you, like, you better get that call from me. Right. But at the same time, it's not so much like a, hey, tell me everything you did. And it's, oh, hey, is everything all right? What happened? Right. And kind of being there as that support, and in, you know, making sure that they feel encouraged, they feel empowered, especially at the manager level. I have had, when I was a personal trainer, the solopreneur side of my life, right? You know, before opening the business, was I had business owners as clients, and some of them did micromanage. And it was like every little thing, it was like that people were asking them, and it was like, dude, that I've heard the same question from like the same employees day after day. Like, I could tell them the answers. I was like, why are they asking? And he's like, well, they have to get my approval. I was like, it's the same thing every single day. They ask you, you say yes. They ask you, and it's about purchasing something that you need. It's like, why not just tell them, yeah, when we need this, purchase it. Right? Now you just took that off your plate. I was like, because I took that route in the beginning, you know, before giving, like, empowering the team, and it's exhausting. Like, you're just like, at this point, I don't care what happens, you know, like, please don't call me right now, you know? So it's like, but then you realize it's like, it's only, you're the one making it exhausting for your team and for you.
Right.
You know?
And so what was the switch that you had to do mentally, the mental gymnastics that most entrepreneurs have to do, going from the solopreneur to now being a true business owner, and not having the business own you as much? So what was that? What did you have to do or transition into from solopreneur to a business owner?
Getting comfortable with the uncomfortability of delegating. Right. And the reason I say that is because while you might be able to do it faster because you've done it for longer, in that one task, you can't do 100 tasks faster than 10 employees doing 10 tasks each. Right. And so you have to realize, yeah, when you do it, it might be exactly how you want it, 100%. Right. But at the end of the day, is it that important to have it 100%, or is 80% going to be fine, just as fine for this flyer? Right. And realize that 80% from each of your staff being able to do compared to your 100, really, if you were doing those 10 tasks, it would be 10% each, because you have other tasks you're trying to do. So really, it's your 10 versus their 80.
Wow. So that might consist of me trusting somebody else with my business or my idea. So a lot of times we don't understand what that looks like, because of we're scared that somebody's going to take our idea. We're nervous that they're not going to get put out the correct message for our brand. So how did you learn how to trust? Because again, some of us don't understand that as we're growing up in life. Some of our childhood issues, being teased, whatever it might be, right? You know, sometimes that affects how we do in business. And even if we go into corporate America for a hot second, again, we don't trust our coworkers or whatever it is. So how do you build up that trust for someone to carry out the mission that you're looking to carry out?
I mean, I think it's exactly what you said. It's a build, right? It's you don't just get 100%, of trust of the business, of the message, of everything, but there's a learning curve that goes with it, right? So in the beginning, I'm not going to tell someone, okay, you're going to run the social media. They've never ran it. They don't really know the brand message, what I like, what I don't like, so forth. But even my assistant, I told him, I was like, look, your task for today, create 3 Google business posts, right? And then 3 Instagram posts because he said, I was like, what else do you want to start to add to your plate, right? That I do. And so I gave him kind of free reign. He knows what I do. He sees my calendar, and he was like, well, the Canva stuff, the creation stuff that I see you doing, he's like, you're having me do some of it, and it's like, that's cool to do on the side. If I can take some of that off your plate, I know it takes some time. I was like, perfect. I was like, let's see what you create. First one are just 3 trials. Obviously, don't post them. Send them over to me, and then we'll go from there. He sends them over to me. I made a little Loom video explaining the different things I would like in each one and why, right? And so even if it didn't do exactly what I wanted, for example, like green on green doesn't make sense, right? So it's like those kind of things where, sorry,
no, you good.
Where it's like you have to teach them so that they get better at it. Because you didn't start off at the level you started off. You made the mistakes. You got better at each task you did as well. And the same thing is going to go for them. So it goes into every level. I mean, my general manager has a company credit card, right? And it's like, when we need inventory for supplements and all that kind of stuff, place the order. It went well. All of a sudden, we got supplements that I was like, okay, hold on. Like, I was like, explain your thought. I didn't get mad or anything. I was like, just explain your thought process on this, please. And it was mainly for like the flavors on, like, he ordered, I think it was a peanut butter protein or something like that. And I was like, all right. But then it was like peaches and cream, and I was like, did someone want this? He's like, no, I just thought it'd be good. I was like, all right, moving forward for flavors, if we don't know how the flavor is, let's order one. Let's test it. We can hand out samples. If it's good, we'll order more. You ordered 10 of each, right? now we got to sell these things, right? And then, or like another one, you have to order it in a minimum quantity of 6, and it was one person wanted it, and it was like, now you realize this is a supplement that doesn't move like that, and now we have 5 sitting on the shelf that we have to get creative on how to sell this, right? So it was like, but it was a learning curve for him. So now he's like, now he takes another approach, and he's like, okay, cool. There's a new flavor that came out. I ordered one. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, you don't have to tell me each time. So now he doesn't tell me they come in, and then he makes samples and, hands it out. All of a sudden the next order has, 10. And if I didn't notice the first time, I'm like, hey, why did you order 10 of that? He's like, we already did samples. Everyone loves it. We already sold 5 of them. I'm like, awesome. Like, cool, So it's like those kind of things, giving them that power and teaching them the why behind, not just like, hey, this is how you do it. It's like, this is how you do it, and this is why we do it that way, because sometimes they'll even have a better way of improving it.
Right.
Like, okay, I see why you want to do it that way. What if we did it this way? And then I'm like, actually, that takes away 2 steps, and that makes way more sense. You're right. Let's do it that way. Try it.
Nice. I mean, and so as I'm listening to you, I'm like, wow, Devan, like it would be great to work underneath of you, because you allow the opportunity for people to grow, right? And a lot of times when we're in corporate America or trying to start out, whatever it is, we're holding on too tight. And we don't allow that space, because you're giving them breathing room. And even if they mess up, they don't feel, they're not going to huddle up in a corner like, oh, he's going to chastise me. You don't give that feeling, and I think that allows that individual to grow and to blossom, because before you know it, even if you have, let's say, 10 franchisees right now, before you know, you might have 1,000, because you have no idea how that person, like, hey, we can now move this thing forward, and how energized and how invested they are into what you're putting together.
Exactly. That's my whole thing, even with my staff, my franchisees, is my staff, I want them to grow with me. So what I ask them, whenever I hire them, like, what is your 5-year goal, 10-year goal? Like, what is your dream job, right? Because I want to know what their dream job is. So as the company grows, I can create their dream job within our company, right? And so that was always my goal for my staff. But for the franchisees, there's certain requirements, and then there's a lot of flexibility. So like, for example, like we have our wall designs, which are, abstract triangles and they're all super, crazy and so it looks cool. But at the same time, for each location, that has to be one of the walls or a piece of the wall. And then there's customization through it. So like I was on the phone with my Texas location and they sent me a drawing and I was like, all right, we got to explain this a little bit to me because I'm not really getting it. And so we hopped on a Zoom call, for about an hour, going back and forth between the designs, trying to understand what they really wanted. And all of a sudden I was like, okay, what if we do it like this? And then feedback and boom, well, that looks amazing. And so now they have their own custom wall. They have more buy-in to it. My location in Port St. Lucie that, should be coming on, they wanted to add like kids club to it. And I was like, honestly, that was actually in my board to, for the next corporate location.
Nice.
If you guys want to run that, we can start that early. You guys will be the first ones with it. So like there's customization to each location with each franchise. Like the brand message stays the same. The program itself stays the same, but then a lot of the different things to be customized because it's your business. Like I'm empowering you as a business owner.
And I think some of that as well, as I'm listening to you, you start, I'm going to use the reference of you talking about different locations, but sometimes just the individuals, we don't always understand the culture, the community, the people that they touch and they are around, and that has influenced them, that can help build your business to be something bigger and greater. So just like you said, for that one franchisee that talks about, hey, you know what? I need to jump into the kids section right now because I'm helping out 30 parents that needs after school care, whatever. I'm just using that as an example, right? Or idea, and so we don't always take into account what that other person brings to the table because we get so laser focused on what we want to do. And I think that's something that we need to understand as we're bringing on more people, as we're outsourcing whatever it is, that we need to understand or try to get a better understanding of who we're working with and who we're communicating and providing services to.
100%. That's my thing is like, as a business owner, you should have an open door policy, right? And whether it's different locations or even just in your location, there's going to be good ideas. There's going to be bad ideas, from the team. But at the same time, like, even if it's a bad idea in your mind, you don't tell them, no, it's a bad idea. It's like, okay, listen, explain like how did you come up with that? What's the reason behind it? What is your goal for the outcome of this? Right. And then once they explain it, you go, okay, I see where you're going with it. I don't think that way is going to be the best approach, but let's figure out, I do like the approach. Let's come up with another aspect of it. Let's kind of mold it together. And then you can, finalize it and bring it back to me. Right. And so those kind of things, really add to the business model, but it adds to your team too, because if they create something, they have more buy-in, and whether it succeeds or it doesn't, they're going to try to fix it so that it succeeds at the end of the day, because they're the ones that said this is going to work.
So it's funny that you say that word work, because it ties into my next question to you. That Will Nevr Work podcast started because I heard family members told me it wasn't going to happen, right? You can't do this, you can't do that, because they were not in that position. They weren't in that place. And I listened to some of your story, talking about how you started off in this position, or where you are right now, where you went to your parents and things like that. So why didn't you allow your parents to stop you moving forward?
I'm just stubborn. But no, it for me it was one of those things where at my time of like my kind of split in the road of listening to my parents at the end of college, listening to my parents in going the career path, going firefighter. My dad was law enforcement, so he didn't want me to do that. So I was like, okay, well, next best thing is firefighter. And at the same time, it was just like, that was a career to me, but I never really wanted to be a firefighter. Right. And I was already making 6 figures as a personal trainer. So I was like, okay, so thinking about this, I'm going to have to pretty much stop personal training to go the EMT route. I already got my EMT certification, all that stuff, but I'm going to have to make minimum wage to hopefully get picked up by our fire department. And I was like, and I have friends that were doing it, and like they were going down the path for like 5 years. And I was like, why? Like, I'm already making what they're trying to make, like, and I was like, and plus every time I've worked for someone, I always get in trouble because I don't do it exactly how they wanted to, even though we got the same outcome. And most of the time I was getting a better outcome, but since I didn't say their script or whatever, so I was like, I just think I'd be better at creating, and I've always wanted to do this. And I was like, if I don't do it, I feel like I'm going to regret it. So it was like, what's the worst that's going to happen? It doesn't work, and then I go back to the firefighter route. Like, you know, so that was my kind of split in the road. My parents, it wasn't that they didn't want me to do it. You know, it was the fact that parents want the best for you, right? And the entrepreneur path is not an easy path, let alone is it a certain path. And so for them, it was like they wanted that security for me and everything like that, where I kind of thrive under the uncertain, the pressure, and so forth. So that was the difference. And then once they started seeing me grow, mainly like my dad, when he started seeing me grow, he was like, oh, okay, like you'll be fine, you know?
Okay. And so you kind of, because you referenced this idea of the split in the road, I'm not sure if you listen to any other episodes, but I have my would you rather question. So you're going to make me see this out of order a little bit. But I'm going to ask you my would you rather question right now. So I ask every guest this question, and because you're already out of the box thinker, just continue to think outside the box. So would you rather choose a fork in the road or 3 doors?
To me, I think they're the same, right? If you like, you know, it could be 3 boxes, it could be 3 doors, 3 forks in the road at the same time. Like, yeah, you might be able to see a little further if it's a fork in the road, but can you really, right? Like, you open up a door, you don't know what's behind it, but you also don't know what's a mile into each road, right? So for me, they're both the same, and you have to realize that your reality is just that. It's yours and yours alone. You shape your own reality. Wow. You shape your own perception. Like, reality is essentially perception of your past experiences, your current experiences, and so forth. So whatever door you open, whatever road you take, doesn't mean that door wouldn't have led back to door 1 or door 4, right? Or door 3, or the roads don't meet at a certain point if you wanted them to.
Wow. I don't know why you just simplified it, bro. Like, no, but I agree with that, because I think that there's no wrong way. I don't think that there's a wrong answer, because evidently it was meant for you to take that path, no matter what the situation is. You're going to still, in my opinion, I think you're going to still end up with the same outcome. As long as you stay open-minded, grounded, listen to the feedback, whatever it is, I think you're still going to end up at the same place. Yep.
I mean, listen to the feedback with a grain of salt. Right. And I say that because you're going to get feedback. Listen to the feedback from the people that are where you want to be, or where are going the way you want to go.
Right.
If someone has never opened a business and they're trying to give me business advice, I'm going to probably take a bigger grain of salt with it. Right. You know, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that they don't have maybe a potential of a start of a great idea. So it's like, also take that with a little bit of, you know, salt on it, and just like, okay, cool. I appreciate it. Cool.
Right. So, you know, for those individuals that are listening today and they need somebody to talk to listen to whatever it is, whether it's, you know, reaching out to you, Devan, listen to your podcast, you know, so where can they find you and get your content?
So, I mean, pretty much all my social medias and everything are just, you know, Devan, Devan, and then Gonzalez. Or you can just go to, I made it kind of easy, just my website, devangonzalez.com, which is pretty much just all my social medias and stuff. But either way, I mean, reach out to me. Easiest place is Instagram. Send me a DM. I'm always happy to give advice, help any way I can. My number one, like, core value that's even in my gym, my franchise, is having a positive impact. And I think that's what legacy is just the impact that you've had on lives.
Nice. So because you made me ask the question earlier than I expected, Devan, I'm going to ask you my secondary question I ask guests as well. Just a fun way to end off the show. So if you could choose anyone in the world, dead or alive, to sing a duet with, who would it be?
Interesting. Dang. Dang. I'm trying to think of singers right now. Honestly, I would say, I can't think of his name right now. He's an older singer. just because I grew up listening to him from like my mom and everything like that.
Okay.
Dang, it's gonna bug me now. I know one of his songs was Steamroller. Hold on, give me one sec.
Okay.
I'm gonna look it up.
Steamroller. Now you got me stumped. Sing Steamroller. Not Roller Coaster, Maurice. I can't think of the name.
James Taylor.
Okay, yes.
James Taylor.
Got you. Cool. And so why James Taylor though?
Just because, I mean, it's one of those, like, growing up, we listened to it so much, and just that the music I kind of listen to, obviously when I work out, might be a little faster paced and stuff, but actually when I listen to, music, my wife makes fun of me because, like, I'll listen to country, I'll listen to stuff like James Taylor, and it's not super motivating or anything, but that's also my mind kind of gets to relax. My ADHD, like, is only kind of at rest when I'm working out. So I can't have music that's just crazy because then my brain just starts going all over the place again. So his music was, always just kind of like soothing and stuff like that. So even if I'm in my own head, usually I'll throw some of that music on.
Nice. That's nice, bro. That's nice. Well, I thank you very much for coming on the show. I thank you for answering the questions and having fun with it. Of course, everyone, Devan's information will be in the show notes. So his podcast and his socials, everything will be there. So Devan, thank you very much for coming on today.
Thank you so much. It was an honor.
Sure, no problem. And I thank y'all very much for listening to That Will Nevr Work podcast. And I'll talk to y'all just a little bit later.
Thanks for listening. Follow Maurice Chism on social media to stay connected and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work. Or will it?